that lots of times when you think about Facebook, people get on there so they can see what's going on with their friends, family, and just watch the news feed every day, but they never contribute anything. You don't want to do that with Twitter. If you're not going to go on there and actually get engaged, just go on there and look around without an account. Because if you have an account with nothing in it, that's worse than having no account at all. You don't want to use a generic Twitter background, so use something with, you know, your photo or information about you or something. It's super inexpensive. You can either design your own or pay a company to design one for you. They're really inexpensive to do. There's so many sites that do that now. You want to make sure you have some contact information on there, so don't leave your contact information blank. If someone has found you, you know, you want to make sure they have a way to get in touch with you. You don't want to be aggressive, so although you have negative customer experiences at a company, or maybe you went to a restaurant and it was really bad, when you get on there and just start, you know, talking trash about a restaurant or something else, it doesn't come across the right way. So you just want to remember this is very public, so you don't want to be really aggressive or negative. You don't want to only think of businesses. Think of the people that are connected to those businesses. So for example, if you're going to look at an accounting firm that you're interested in working for, look at who's following that accounting firm. Look at who they're following. And you can start to learn more about the partners and start reaching out to the partners or start tweeting to the partners or including them in your tweets, because obviously the firm isn't going to hire you. It's going to be a person that hires you. So you want to start thinking about the people in the businesses, not just the business itself. You don't want to be all talk and no response. So sometimes you'll put something out there and you'll say, you know, you put a tweet and someone will say, oh, that's really interesting, where can I get more information? And then you drop off the face of the planet. You want to make sure that you're responsive, and it is a conversation. So different than some other avenues of social media, it is a conversation, and you should be talking back and forth. You don't want to tweet what you had for dinner. So this isn't Facebook, and I don't even know on Facebook if you want to tweet what you had for dinner, but this is meant for the world to see. So these aren't people that you've necessarily friended. These are people that are following you for whatever reason. Maybe they're following you because they saw you speak at something at school. Maybe they're looking at you as a potential hire down the road. Someone recommended you. So these are your professors, your teachers, your employers, your potential employers, your potential employees, your team members. So you want to make sure that your tweets are relevant to what you want to build your brand. This is building your brand. It is public. And you don't want to say anything that you don't want your boss or your potential boss to see. So if you just think down the road, whatever I just posted, the CEO of the company I'm working for is going to see it. If you're uncomfortable with that, don't post it, because it is public and it will come back for you. You don't want to be generic. So this is this is an example of someone generic. They've broken a multiple number of rules here. They've used the actual filler photo here from Twitter, and they also talked about what they had, a ham sandwich in the morning. So many rules broken here, but don't be generic. You definitely want to be branded. This is a good example of someone who, you know, branded their Twitter page themselves. So what you're seeing here is their Twitter background. I talked about you having the ability to customize that yourself. And so when you look there, you're like, wow, this person gets social media. And I can't tell you, when people are hiring now, you are the next generation of accounting professionals. So in a firm, what they're looking for is that next generation to bring in the social media savvy, online connected people that are going to help build the brand of the firm. And so if you're not engaged on social media, you're not on Twitter, you're not on LinkedIn, you're like, oh, I haven't got around to that yet, I don't really see the benefit. Here's the benefit. It's going to help you get a job. So you want to make sure that you're out there. Obviously, Facebook, you're probably all on it and very familiar with it, but it is the largest social networking site in the world. It's international, great exposure for career travel, lots of international opportunities. And it's used for social, but it's also used for business and career. So over 1 billion active users, lots of people are accessing Facebook from mobile, and the average user has 130 friends. So there's a lot of reach there. So what do you want to do on Facebook? So you want to use a good headshot. You want to join groups that reflect your interests. So hopefully your interests align with your brand, because lots of times I'll look and see what groups someone's a member of or what different accounts they like, because that tells me about them. It helps me learn about them. You want to send messages and you want to contribute. We talked about that earlier, spending time contributing, not just taking. You want to make friends. It's good to post videos, again, appropriate videos, and control your privacy settings. So if you have a friend that posts pictures of you at a party, for example, does your employer and everyone you're connected with on Facebook immediately see those photos, or do you have some privacy settings blocked so it's a little bit more locked down? And I think that's so important. And you want to separate what the public can see from maybe what your work friends can see versus what your personal friends can see. So that's really important. Here's what you don't want to do. So you don't want to use an inappropriate profile photo. I think that's really important. I think it's, sometimes, and there's inappropriate, and then there's just, you might use for your photo a picture of your son or daughter, or whatever the case might be. I think it's a little bit of a lost branding opportunity. So you do have, you do have an opportunity to get your photo out there so people can engage with you and they can see a little bit more information about you. I think that you don't want to necessarily join controversial groups. You definitely don't want to be a bully. You don't want to be using profanity online. You don't want to be tagging people inappropriately or people tagging you inappropriately. And, if you're posting issues, sometimes people post issues about health issues or relationship problems or something. You just have to be, depending on what your privacy settings are, you just want to make sure that you're posting the right things to the right audience. So I think I think that's really important. And one of the questions that just came in to me, which I can address on this call, is you certainly can't base your decision on hiring someone based on social media, but I will tell you, I have met with literally hundreds of accounting firms, and when I talk to them about their hiring processes, they like to get to know the candidates online, because the resume only tells one side of someone. And if I had $1 for every time I've talked to someone and said, they'll interview a candidate. I was talking to someone from an accounting firm probably about a month ago, and they'd interviewed this great candidate, and when they started looking around online, they saw a totally different picture than what they found in the resume. And when they brought the person in to interview them, it turns out they'd paid someone to do their resume for them. So I think what you need to remember is you might be very honest, and you might say, well, my resume really, I did it myself, and it is a reflection of who I truly am. But because so many people, that's not the case anymore. They're getting other people to do their resume for them. They're embellishing on truths or making things sound really great. Employers just want to get to know you. You ought to think when you apply for a job, 100 different people apply, and the resumes look very much the same. Perhaps everybody has the same, if you think about 100 resumes come in and everybody has the same education and everybody has the same background and everyone's just coming out of school, what's going to make you different? And so for employers, I hear it all the time from firms, they go and they look online. It's just, whether it's, I don't want it to seem biased, but I do want to paint a picture for you of what employers are doing, because it is how they're getting to know you to decide if they want you on the firm. And the other thing that I think is really important is the firm looks at you as someone who will be representing their firm. So if you're out there online and you represent yourself inappropriately, they don't want that brand image in their firm. So, and so granted, there are firms who don't look online at all, and you certainly could go and work at a firm where their hiring team might not look at that. But more and more, as I'm connecting with firms, they're telling me this is what they're looking for. So I'm kind of sharing with you insights into all the firms that I get the chance to network with. So great question, Grant, and I hope that gave you some answers there. So LinkedIn, if you think of LinkedIn as the Facebook of professionals, so I think of LinkedIn as such a great opportunity for students to get really connected with potential employers. However, when a lot of students haven't even been thinking of LinkedIn yet, because LinkedIn really isn't used a lot necessarily in schools or by students, so they don't think of this as a tool yet that will be looked at by employers. But it's, good when I interview someone, they immediately following the interview, they're connecting with me on LinkedIn. So I think that there's a lot of people that aren't on LinkedIn, but it certainly gives you a good opportunity to, to get connected with where you want to work. So what do you want to do on LinkedIn? You want to make sure that you have a completed profile. You want to grow your number of connections, and we'll make sure that you get access. Obviously, you get access to this webcast, but you can also have access to this PowerPoint. You're welcome to send me a Twitter or LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to get it to you. But you want to make sure that you are growing your connections. So this person has 303 connections. I mean, your teachers at school might have some. You might want to connect with them, potential employers, if you're out networking, if you're doing an internship. There's lots of people that you can connect with. So you want to make sure that you've got some good groups going on, that you're participating. Use a current headshot of yourself, recommending people, thanking people who have recommended you, and really showing off your resume and including your highlights. And I think that your resume this is a great place for your resume to live. And so people that are well connected, it goes a long way with a firm. What you don't want to do is forget your resume. Don't forget to include all that information. Make sure that you have something to upload there. Don't forget a profile photo. Make sure that you're updating it all the time, that you're participating, including links to other things like Twitter or other blogs. Next, we have YouTube. So I think this is interesting because lots of times people think about YouTube as a place where you might post videos with your friends or things that you've done in the summer or spring break or whatever the case might be, but it really can be so much more than that. So how do you really embrace the opportunity that's available through YouTube to help you build your personal brand? So YouTube, here's some things that you could do. So first of all, post a video resume. I think this is absolutely brilliant, and I have only ever seen this done once, and I just thought it was, when you have a stack of resumes and someone says, or they send you a link if they're applying for a job, and they send you a link that they recorded a short video for you on YouTube of why they're the right person for the job, that wowed me. I was like, well, that is amazing. They actually have this video. You can create a video on YouTube and make it private, except for if you share the link with someone. Well, what a great way to send information about you to someone when you're applying for a job and say, I really want this job. I'm not just applying for a dozen jobs and I don't care which one I get. I really want your job. So that's a really great way to stand out from all the other people that are applying. You can post videos of yourself doing outdoor activities, posting videos that position you as an expert. So for example, when you complete the CPA exam, when you successfully write the CPA exam, you could do a 5-minute video on, here's some tips and tricks that helped me get through the CPA exam and help me be successful that I want to share with you. What a great way to brand yourself as someone that is an expert, that's been there, done that. And firms will look at that and say, hey, here's someone that could actually start doing some videos for our firm. So great opportunity for you to get online and do these different videos. You can include a link to your resume on YouTube, and you can tweet your different videos. So really great opportunities. So, someone is asking, I'll just answer some questions that we have as we kind of go through it, because they are timely, asking about creating a Facebook and a Twitter page, one that's for work and one that's for business. And, I think this is a really kind of controversial, or it's an opinionated subject. You'll talk to some people who say absolutely they should be totally separate, and other people say, no, you should just have one. My personal opinion is I just have one. I think that Facebook gives you great opportunity to control your privacy settings, so you can just have certain select groups of people view what you want them to view. I think that's really good. And then for Twitter, I mean, Twitter is just, it's out there, so you don't want to be keeping up with 2 Twitter accounts. And quite honestly, for the people that, I would just say you have one. I have one if I'm, whether I'm visiting the Eiffel Tower or I'm speaking to you today on Meet the Firms Week, I have one account and I'm posting about it. And so people get to know some about my personal life, they get to know a lot about my business life, but they really get to know me and my personal brand. So that's kind of my my thought. So here's things that you don't want to do. Don't start a video that you wouldn't want your future employer seeing. So if you think, okay, the partner in a major firm that I want to work for is going to see this video. So one thing is you say, well, no, I'll delete it before I start looking for a job. Someone may have already downloaded it or copied it or whatever. So you don't even want to put it out there. Don't even take the video unless you want it out there. Obviously, no illegal activity. You just want to be you want to be professional. So think of YouTube. I mean, YouTube is the second largest search engine on earth. So think of the reach that's out there. And so that's really, really important. Again, going back to what I said earlier, you post it today, it's there tomorrow, next year, 10 years from now. The internet's forever. And so as you're building your brand and defining yourself, you want to remember that. So when you're posting on social media, you want to be authentic. So you want to be you. You want to allow people to get to know you and what you're all about. I mean, I think that the world is turning into a very social world, and I think that people, work-life integration, and I think we used to talk about work-life balance, and that's not what anyone's calling it anymore. They're calling it work-life integration. So as the two kind of integrate, and you've got people that are working from home, and you're seeing those two mesh together, you want to make sure that you are your authentic you. People get to know what you're really about. You want to be original, so make sure that you're not just, always retweeting. You want to have some original content and original thoughts, and just you want to be you and have some of that originality. You want to be resourceful. So be creative. Don't be, if you're blogging, which is a great opportunity for you to position yourself as an expert, be creative, be resourceful, try things that other people aren't trying. Always be mindful that it is forever, because it's forever. You want to make sure that you're professional, because someone could see it down the road, and they likely will. You want to be informative, so if you can be someone who is positioned as the expert and sharing some really good information, you want to be able to do that. Make sure that you're relevant. So, if you're posting stuff that doesn't mean anything to anybody, that's challenging. So you want to be relevant. And of course, you want to make sure that you're innovative. So you want to be forward-thinking. You don't want to be, you don't want to be viewed as someone who isn't innovative. So where do you start? So let's just say right now you're just on Facebook, you connect with your friends and family, and you're like, good grief, I have a lot of work to do. So where to start? So first of all, I would say audit your presence on social media. Take a look at Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Are you maximizing the opportunities? Do you have a video resume that's up that you can link to in your Twitter profile? Have you started tweeting? How do you start following people and getting people to follow you? Are you on LinkedIn? Have you gone to people at school? Maybe you volunteer for a certain organization right now, and they could provide you with a reference, and that could go onto your LinkedIn. That's so valuable. Where do you spend your time? Does it align with your goals and what you want to be known for? Is where you're spending your time showing people what you really believe in? Is it building your personal brand? Get active. Don't be a bystander. It's almost as bad as not being online at all. Don't set up a Twitter account, have a purple egg as your headshot, and then just sit there and watch. That's not what it's about. It's about engaging. Buy your own website domain. So obviously, my name is Jennifer Warawa. I own jenniferwarawa.com, and that's where my personal blog lives. So make sure that if you, I would, right now, if I was anybody, if I was a student anywhere, I would buy my own website. If your name is John Smith, it might already be gone. You might need to get creative, put your middle name in there or something. But I think that your website domain, for you to even just post your resume on, is a really great place to start. You want to be able to diversify online with videos, podcasts, blogging, and go out and get it. Success isn't out there looking for you. You need to go and find it. And so all of this, when you think about your personal brand, and everything I talked about online, and whether you think that, you're it's not important to you or it's not relevant, at the end of the day, you have to remember your potential employer may get hundreds of resumes, literally, for the same position you're applying for. So if what you have is a well-written resume with a good grades and a few good references on nice paper, you're just like everybody else. Everybody has the same thing. How do you differentiate yourself? Your online brand or your personal brand could potentially be the only thing that differentiates you from every other resume. I can tell you, if I get a resume, for example, even with a photo or with a YouTube link where there's a video, or someone sends me a video and says, to follow up on my resume, here's a little bit more information about me, and they talk through what their career aspirations are, you have no idea how much that makes you stand out. It's just little things that don't take a lot of time and don't cost any money that can make you totally stand out from other people. So I think that personal brand piece is really great. here's some great reading that I think is perfect when you're thinking about building your personal brand. The Brand Called You is an article by Tom Peters, and it can be found online on Fast Company. It's a great article. There's a really great book called Me 2.0 by Dan Schwabel, or you can visit the website personalbrandingblog.com. And if you just Google personal branding, there are literally endless articles about personal branding. So you want to read up on it, and you want to figure out, how do I really shape myself? I think what's so exciting in the world today is that it really is a global workforce. So you may be living, I mean, you could be living anywhere. You could be living in Southern California, or you could be living in Baltimore. It doesn't matter where you're living. Your first big job could be in Australia. It could be in Europe. It could be on the other side of this country. It could be in Canada. I mean, it is such a global market right now. All of your online is how someone could potentially find you outside of the people that you're sending a resume to. You got to think, you're proactively going out and seeking firms, but there's firms out there seeking you, and if you're not found online, you're missing such a huge opportunity. So I really encourage you to build your personal brand and get out there and just do a really great job of building what is going to become the face of you in the future, because online is where everything is at. It's how people connect today, and if you're not out there doing it, you're really missing out. So really appreciate your time today, and we have time for some questions. So if you have any questions, please post those questions, and we would be happy to answer them.
Jennifer, thank you. I'm actually sending you one other question. I'll give you a chance to read it, but I wanted to just reiterate that, first of all, this is critical information, and I think there's almost a mindset, if you're hearing this for the first time, that it's scary to get started if you've never thought about using these tools to build your brand. However, it's such a great opportunity. This is truly a competitive job market, although accounting students are in such a wonderful position because the economy is great, but still there's lots of accounting students competing for every job. And so this is a wonderful opportunity, and having talked to 350 recruiters of accounting students over the past year, I absolutely can validate that recruiters also see this as an opportunity to get to know potential employees, really potential partners of their businesses. Use that opportunity to your advantage to get involved, to build awareness of your background, because they absolutely use that. And the other takeaway that absolutely sticks is that the internet, what's on it is permanent. So be mindful of that, especially as you're about to enter in the job market. Jennifer, I'm going to let you read CJ's question, sure, if you don't mind, and then I got a few of my own, and I'm going to send you one more to you as well.
Sure, yeah. So, we had someone that was asking about, what about non-English feeds on their Facebook? How does that affect from the professional perspective? So I will say, obviously I work at Sage. Sage is a global company. Our CEO's first language is French, and so I think it is such a global workforce that people that have more than one language it's advantageous. It's great. I think that we support our obviously we have a very large business in Canada. We have a very large business in Europe, in the U.S. And so we have multiple languages that we support, and so I think it's viewed as professional. I think what I would say is, even if you're posting in other languages, you need to remember that there are people who can read those languages, and that even if you're posting different languages, it doesn't mean that you're off limits from people being able to read that. So as long as you keep it professional, I think having other languages on there is great. The next question, which is around, okay, I haven't even started this yet. How do people find time to be updating all these websites? It just seems like so much. And so I would just say, first of all, building your personal brand is an investment of your time. So I think if you think of it as, oh, it's just something I have to do, and it just goes out into the thin air, and it doesn't do anything for me, I think it's hard to justify why you should spend time doing it. If you think of it like an investment in building your personal brand, I think that's the best way to think of it. Now, how do you get online and start updating these sites? I would say even if you just said, okay, I mean, this is what I do literally. I had like my Starbucks in the morning, and I sit down first thing, and I read through, when I'm doing my Twitter, I read through all the different things that are going on Accounting Today and Accounting Web and CPA Practice Advisor and Boomer Consulting and all these different websites. I need to know what's going on anyway. That's an investment of my time. It's my career. I need to make sure that I've got the most recent content and knowledge of what's happening in the accounting profession. And so I need to make that investment anyways, and then I will post on there. I'll post on my Twitter or my Facebook or my LinkedIn about things that I see that I find are relevant. So I would just say if you're starting, you don't know where to start, spend 15 minutes in the morning. You don't need to be on all these sites all day. It could just be 10 or 15 minutes where you go online and you see what's happening, and maybe you schedule some tweets throughout the day, and you don't need to take on the world. But I think that it's just that 10-minute investment, and just think of it as investing in your future, because it will be a differentiator, and I think that is that's so important.
Hey, Jennifer, I was going to step in and ask a question as a little bit of a follow-up. In order to, one of the benefits of making that investment is, and one of the goals certainly is getting, like on Twitter, which is one of my favorites, is just getting people to follow you. And I'm curious if you have any tips on just how to kind of, on the mechanisms of making that work. How do you get people to pay attention and follow your Twitter account?
Yeah, I think the way that people are going to start following your Twitter is by being active on Twitter. So, for example, when you'll go on, I'll go on and I'll do a post about, for example, Meet the Firms Week. You've got a hashtag, Meet the Firms. There's a lot of people following that hashtag, and they're looking through the threads. So all of a sudden, you'll be at a conference or you'll be at an event like this, you're tweeting, people will see you and they'll start following you because they're following that thread. Or perhaps they're following a certain phrase like entrepreneur or small biz. And so when you tweet about things that come up like that, they see you and they say, oh, I should start following this person. Looks like they've got some interesting posts about small business or about accounting. And so I think if you're not active, the only way people will find you is if they happen to see your link on your LinkedIn or something. So if you're not actively tweeting and out there on social media, you're not going to get the people following you.
I was going to say too, I think that's absolutely it. It's activity. One thing that I do, just as an example, is I share articles. If I see an article that I read when I'm doing my kind of daily reading, it's very easy to tweet that link out. I use Twitter to find articles. If everybody ought to be researching your industry and careers, firms, accounting information, like you said,
Yeah.
reading Accounting Today, CPS Practice Advisor, etc. Share information. People value that.
Absolutely, for sure. We have a great question from Jordan, which is around, as far as blogging is concerned, should you try and keep it really professional, or is a fun blog something employers like to see? And I think it's great to show a personal side of you. I mean, there are people who are super passionate about boating or golfing, or they have a really great hobby and they like to have a blog about something that's important to them. I mean, first of all, being online is half the battle, right? So if they're online and they're blogging, I know two things. They know how to go online and they know how to write. And so both of those things are not skills that everybody has. So I think that already says something about you. I think it's great if they're fun. I mean, fun not being the top 10 nightclubs in the U.S. or like I think I would just say it's great to keep it fun, and there's certainly no problem with that. And quite honestly, when you're in school or you're a student, that might be, as far as if you're like, I don't know what else to blog about. I mean, it absolutely can be fun, but and it's a great way for people to understand your writing skills. So I think it can be fun as long as you're still mindful and thinking, okay, if a CEO or if a partner in a firm saw this, am I comfortable with them seeing it and knowing this about me? And so as long as the answer is yes, absolutely, I think it's great to be fun. And someone asked, Sharon asked about blogging and what's the best website to get started, or should you do it through Twitter and LinkedIn? So for my blog, I use WordPress just because it's a really easy format. It's great to get up and running on, and so that's what I would recommend. And I think they have a free version. I think I might pay $25 a year or something. It's really inexpensive, but it allows you to customize it. Another opportunity that you have is reaching out to some of these, if you like writing, you're an accounting student, reach out to someone like Going Concern, which is part of Accounting Web, and say, I'd like to write for you as, the trials and tribulations of an accounting student. So if you like blogging and you like writing, it doesn't even have to be your own blog. You could blog as a guest writer for Accounting Web, and they'd love to have that student profile or, get insights. I mean, there are endless opportunities. I mean, you could reach out to someone and a corporation. You could reach out to me and say, I'd be really interested in sharing my view on what the next generation of accountants looks for in employers. Well, how interesting to my 25,000 Sage Accountants Network members. I guest blog on the Virgin Entrepreneur website, and it's a lot of fun, and just talk about insights on entrepreneurship and starting a business. So there's great places that you can blog. It doesn't even have to just be your own blog. So there's lots of people who'd love to hear what you have to say, so don't underestimate the value of the perspective that you bring. So I don't know if there's any other questions that you see, Jeff.
There is. I was talking with mute on, but I thought the suggestion of reaching out to some of the media partners and asking to do a guest blog post. Owning a company myself, we are always looking for guest bloggers, and I guarantee you people like Going Concern and the different media outlets like Accounting Today would love things like that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's fantastic. So I'm going to let's see. Jordan had another question. You know what? I'm going to say that for just 1 second and ask you this. You did mention Google+, and I'm just curious if you have an opinion or if you've tried Google+. It seems to be spreading in popularity.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, so I'm on Google+ as well, and we have some. I had a meeting last week that we did Google Hangout, and so I think and my personal emails through Google, so it's all kind of integrated. So yeah, absolutely, Google+ is another opportunity. I think that when I'm looking at content that's online today and how people find you, I don't want it to be too overwhelming. And further to what someone was saying earlier, oh my goodness, where do I get started? So I kind of started with the most popular the most popular forms of social media. So Google+ is certainly another one to consider. It is rising in popularity, as you said, and yeah, I think that's great. A couple other questions, and I see the questions that you just sent over, Jeff. So, people that have families, how does that resonate with potential employers? Should you downplay it or bring it to light? And so what I would say is when you are creating your personal brand online, you want it to be authentic. You want it to be, if you're a mother, father of 2 or 3 or 1 or whatever the case might be, and that's the most important thing to you, I would never hide that, because at the end of the day, when you get your dream job and they say, oh, well, we need you working 150 hours a week or whatever, and you're like, well, my kids are really important to me, at some point that's going to come out. You don't want to work for an employer or a firm that's totally inconsistent with your values. So I would say for the things that you value, like your children, like your family, it's perfectly great to have that out there, because you don't want to work for someone that doesn't accept that anyway. So I think it's good to be able to do that, and I think a family presence is great. Lots of times that means stability. It means lots of good things. So I think it's really great. Someone is asking to they want to add me to LinkedIn. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, certainly connect with me on LinkedIn. My email address, and we can certainly send that out afterwards. It's my first name, which is Jennifer, and then .Warawa, which is up on your screen right now, WARAWA @sage.com. And so I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. And so certainly send me your thoughts, and if you have any other ideas or questions, you can reach out to me after or send me a tweet.
Hey Jennifer, we have a minute for one more question that I was thinking of, and you've mentioned how firms can contact us and research us. A point I wanted to make, and you may have a comment on this, but what a fantastic way for each of you to learn about firms, and there's probably no better way. to learn about what's going on in the day-to-day life of a firm if they are engaging Facebook and Twitter. A lot of firms are starting to dip their toes in the water in this. Ernst & Young comes to mind as having a fantastic Facebook page. And one way to get noticed is to ask them questions on their Facebook page. There are recruiters handling these pages typically. Treat this like you're in a big room at a Meet the Firms with all of these employers. You want to be remembered and get your name out there. Socialize with the people who are handling these accounts. And one great way is just by asking questions about their recruitment process and about their firm online. They should answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say that, for firms, if you're from a firm and you're listening to this webcast today, I know there's been some really great firms that have done some really creative things with social media and online. We've seen a lot of flash mob videos. We've seen a lot of Harlem Shake videos. And so I think that when you're considering potential employers, that says, hey, this is a fun place to work, because no one wants to go work somewhere that isn't fun. So I think it's a great way to position yourself. It allows people to get to know the human side of you. Because you're not doing business with a company, you're doing business with people, and so people want to get to know that human side of you.
Oh, and that goes back to the question about the person who's asked about being in a family. This boils down to authenticity, and you can recruiters appreciate that authenticity, and that it is who you are. It's where you are in life, and I think that goes a long, long way.
Totally agree.
Jennifer, this has been fantastic, and I just think that I know by the quality and the number of the questions that it's resonating with students. This will certainly be available for replay if you want to revisit some of the tips. I encourage everyone, if you're on Twitter, to follow Jennifer. You see her handle there, and if you're not, give it a shot. Our Facebook page has a lot of social networking tips and pieces like that to help kind of guide you along this path, but it is so valuable. But the bigger picture of just of taking control and investing in your personal brand is, being a few years out of college now, I see the extreme value of that, and it's just all about getting noticed. So, Jennifer, thank you so much. Any last words from you before we wrap things up?
No, we're excited. Thanks so much for the opportunity to participate, and I know that all the students get the offers that we send out, but I think that the offers that we send out from Sage are really meant to help you differentiate yourself, because we see that as a really important part of you building your personal brand and your profile. So we hope you take us up on some of these opportunities, and we look forward to staying connected online.
You got it, and I will list those offers that Sage has been so kind to make available to everybody who participated. Look for an email from me. It'll go out first thing tomorrow morning with the follow-up information, including Jennifer's social media contact. Well, this wraps things up, and it has been a fantastic week. This is the 5th session that we've done, and everyone has been just spectacular. We're lucky to have these amazing presenters. And grateful for all the students who have been online. Just one last reminder, if you need any help with your profiles, with College Frog, just send it to our team at support@collegefrog.com. Be sure to keep checking the site, as we're adding employers every single day. I'll send you a link to our Facebook page where we post actual job postings on a daily basis, and we're on Twitter as well at College Frog. So with that, we will wrap things up, and I hope everybody has a safe and wonderful weekend. Jennifer, once again, you're awesome. Thank you. And
thanks, Jeff.
we appreciate everything. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.
Thank you.